Another month has passed by, and we are new in the new month once again. Time flies, isn't it? It is so important for us to come to the house of the Lord, especially on the first Sunday of the month where we partake the Lord's Supper together, remembering our relationship with God, and also at the same time recommit our life to God. Let's just thank the worship team, shall we? You may go down. Okay. Every month we have a new emphasis, right, for our church preaching team. And for this month, our emphasis is on community impact. Right? In the month of July, we talk about missions, going out to share the gospel. Month of August, of course, we want to love our nation as we celebrate Merdeka, and there was a wonderful Merdeka Day celebration last week in church itself, as we hear the word, as we pray for the nation. And now we want to move forward even as we love the nation. It also means that we love the people of the nation. We love our community. That's why we have this emphasis on community impact. And this morning I would like to share with you on the topic, the heart of true religion. The heart of true religion based on Micah chapter 6, verse 1 to verse 8. Now, a story was told of a young boy. And while he was somehow walking along the river bank, he fell into the river and he almost got drowned. And he was struggling to stay afloat. A passerby just came and saw him and immediately jumped in and pulled him out and saved his life. Wow, that was a close call. And years later, the same boy by now has become a young man. He has grown bigger. But one day he was caught stealing. And he was caught stealing. He was being charged. He was brought before the judge. And as he stood before the judge and they looked at one another, and to the surprise of both, the judge and him, the judge was actually the very man who saved him from drowning years ago. And so with sadness in his eyes and controlling his emotion, the judge said, "Years ago, I was your savior. But today, I must be your judge." And this is exactly the same picture Micah paints for us in Micah chapter 6, verse 1 to 8. And the prophecy of Micah came in the form of a lawsuit against the people of God. Micah ministered to the southern kingdom because we know that after the reign of Solomon, the kingdom was divided into two. The northern kingdom called Israel with the capital Samaria, and the southern kingdom called Judah with the capital in Jerusalem. And Micah basically was ministering or prophesying to the southern kingdom, even though sometimes he also referred to the northern kingdom. And he brought this lawsuit, so-called divine lawsuit against them. And I want you to imagine as though you are in a courtroom, but not in the physical court, in the cosmic court. Right? Everything was written here was figurative. The whole description was using imagery. Right? And here God was the one who summoned the lawsuit. And when there is a lawsuit, there must be a charge. There must be a charge against someone. Right? And so God brought a charge against the people of Israel for their covenant unfaithfulness. And I want you to just look at, first of all, Micah chapter 6, verse 1 to verse 2. Say, listen to what the Lord says. Stand up, plead your case before the mountain. Let the hills hear what you have to say. Hear, O mountain, the Lord's accusation. Listen, you everlasting foundation of the earth. For the Lord has a case against his people. He is lodging a charge against Israel. And so here, when God called summoned the people together, he called for the mountains and the hill and the foundation of the earth to stand as witnesses. Because in any charge, when you have something accused against somebody, there must be witnesses. And who would God call for witnesses? He called for the nature, the foundation. Called for the foundation of the earth. He called for the mountains and the hills to stand as witnesses. And what was his charge against the people? And here, now God read out his charge that is found in verse 3 to verse 5. The charge was, "My people, what have I done to you? How have I burdened you? Answer me. I brought you up out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. I sent Moses to lead you, also Aaron and Miriam. My people, remember what Balak, king of Moab, counseled and what Balaam, son of Beor, answered. Remember your journey from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord." Right? And so God accused them for their unfaithfulness. God reminded them that how faithful I was to you, right? How loving I was to you, how he brought them out of the land of slavery. He watched over them. He set leaders before them. He has done all the things for them. He protected them throughout the entire journey, and he helped them in their nation building. But instead of remaining faithful to God, instead of continue to worship God, what did they do? They adopted all the religious practices of the land. They began to worship idol. And they ignored the law of Moses. And moreover, they practiced all kinds of wickedness and injustices against one another, and they even oppressed the poor. That was actually found in the beginning of Micah, chapter 1 onward. He began to describe all the wicked things they have done. And they kept drifting away from God, and they drift towards empty ritual. As they moved away from God, they were just getting involved in empty rituals, thinking that more sacrifices could cover their disobedience. So you can see on one hand, they are offering all the sacrifices as a form of ritual, as a form of religious duty and obligation. Hopefully all these sacrifices can appease God, but on the other hand, they were doing something else that was disgusting to God. And so, when God began to charge them of this covenant unfaithfulness, what did they do? Just like any accused, they will make their defense. And here they give their defense. Their defense is found in verse 6 and verse 7. "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul?" Here there's their defense is that, God, actually we are offering all this to you. You mean not enough? You mean you want us to offer even more? You mean you want us to offer 1,000 or even offer our firstborn son? Wow, that is terrible, isn't it? That's what the idol worshiper do. They actually sacrifice their children to God. But God has never asked his people to sacrifice their children. But they've gone so extreme that they have adopted the religious practices of the pagan. They even think that if God is not satisfied with what I'm worshiping him now, maybe I should do more. They are asking God, "God, are you saying that we should even sacrifice our son to you?" That was their defense to God. They thought by offering all these things, by going through all the religious rituals, that it would get rid of their guilt and continue to earn God's favor. But they totally missed the point of true religion. It is against such misconception that God issued a verdict. In any case, there will be a final verdict. And in the final verdict, God exposed their hypocrisy and showed them what true religion is all about. Like a good lawyer delivering the closing line, Micah summed up 3 things that God required of them in just one verse, which is our key verse for this month. God was not interested with their endless and meaningless sacrifices. God is saying to them, their outward ritual means nothing to him. It is the heart. It is the heart that counts. You can do all the worship you want, but if the heart is not in it, it is meaningless. Simply put it, the heart of true religion is found in this simple verse. Can we read it together once again? Let's go. 1, 2. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good and what does the Lord require of you. To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. Micah chapter 6 verse 8. Memorize this. It is so easy to memorize, and it reminds us of the heart of true religion. So when you come to church Sunday after Sunday, it's not just the lifting of our hands. It's not just singing praises to God. It's not even just partaking in the Holy Communion. But this is the heart of true religion. And let's see what it means. First of all, to act justly. To act justly. What does it mean to act justly? To act justly means to be fair, right? You talk about just, you talk about fairness, talk about equality, you talk about moral uprightness. Right? It is knowing right and wrong and doing the right thing. It is not just merely following a set of laws. We have a lot of laws, a lot of rules. It's not just following all this set of rules and law, but to ensure that there is equality and justice and fairness accorded to everyone in the society, regardless of your class or status or the skin color. All right? It means to treat everyone with dignity, to advocate the weak, the marginalized, and to speak out for those who can't speak for themselves, to be a voice for the voiceless. It also means to stand up for what is right, not just for ourselves, but for those in our community. A lot of times we are so self-centered, we only stand for our own rights, but we fail to stand for the right of those who have been marginalized or oppressed. It ensures that impartiality and fairness in the treatment of people, that everyone gets what they deserve. How can we act justly? We can actually act justly in the sense of being advocate for social justice. Speaking out for the weak and the voiceless. And who are these people? Who are these people that need a voice, that they can't speak for themselves? We are talking about children who are being abused, either physically, emotionally, or even sexually. Young children can't speak for themselves. We are talking about bullying cases in the social media, talking about bullying cases in school that now we heard of so rampant in the academy, in the neighborhood, in public places. We are talking about discrimination. Discrimination against the disabled, discrimination against the poor, the migrants and the refugees, racial prejudices, religious persecution, etc. All these are discrimination and they are injustices. And we are also talking about the victims of circumstances. People somehow found themselves caught in the situation, no fault of their own. They were just victims of circumstances. Who is going to speak for them? And of late, our country was rocked by a few cases. A few cases of bullying, a few cases of injustices. Let's take a look at the next picture. You will know what I talk about. Right? There was this young girl, 14 years old teenager, Zara. She was found, dropped dead. And of course, at first they say it's suicide. But then later they went on, it may not be suicide. And they even assume her body and do another forensic test again. And then, of course, they do determine one thing, that it was indeed a bullying case. But exactly how she died is still been unanswered. And because of that, you see, there are many people speaking out, justice for Zara, because it's happened in Sabah, and that's why you can see the big rally there. People want to find out what caused a 14-year-old young girl dropped dead from the dormitory. And of course, over the course of time, they have already charged another 5 teenagers for bullying. We also have cases, right? Another lady also jumped down, college student. It was also suspect of bullying cases. Who are going to speak for all these people calling for justice? And just yesterday, you saw the news of the man there, right? And it was something that was shocking. I mean, to me, it was embarrassing. Because we know that Malaysia just won World Championship, mixed double, go. Come on, everybody clap. Are you happy? We are happy, broke record. And government give them 20,000 ringgit, right? Of course, some people say it's too little, but well, government don't have that much money, it's okay. But because we also believe that other association and all that will come, right? And this is where the rest of the past athletes begin to speak up. They've been keeping that for a long, long time. They were the former heroes of our country, right, who hold the flag of the nation, representing our nation. Right? They were Olympian, they were, champion, right? And they were sportsmen and sportwomen of the year. They were promised during those times, they will get a cash reward of 5,000 ringgit. But none of them got it. Some of them, like this gentleman, he was national cyclist. Right? He got only 500 ringgit instead of 5,000. The rest, they say go to the association. There was this hockey player, 5,000. What did he get? 170 ringgit. And there were many others begin to speak up. They even didn't get a single cent. Wow. That was embarrassing. To me, that's injustice, isn't it? Athletes that sacrifice so much for the nation. Like this man, his name is Ng Jun Ngan. He was the Sportsman of the Year in 1970. He was the one, together with another man, was a Malaysian cyclist. He was a cycling icon. Because of him, the cycling picked up momentum and it became our national sporting event. It's because of him. Because he started winning. He started winning medals. He's representing Malaysia, And then suddenly everybody got interest in cycling. And now we have our renowned cyclists in Malaysia. Malaysia at one time was one of the strong contestants in the world stage for cycling, even in Olympic itself. He got only 500. But this time, the Cyclist Association began to make things right. They gave him back the remaining 4,500 after 55 years. 5,000 ringgit 55 years ago was a lot of money. 5,000 ringgit in the year 2025, what can you pay for? Right? Injustices. But I'm glad at least this cycling Federation of Cycling Association, they make things right. And now there's a call for other associations, whether it's badminton, whether it's hockey, and whether it's some other sport, even swimming and athlete. They are calling all these people, please make right. Yes, it's not the current batch of the officer that is at fault. It's their forefathers. Maybe they have to pay for the sin of the forefathers. And they have to do the right thing and make things right. That is justice, isn't it? And of course, justice is not just about social justice. It's talk about doing the right thing personally. Besides getting involved in social justice, we also need to deal with injustices taking place in our everyday life. Right? In our everyday life, daily acts of injustices can affect us at times, even influence us. It can be injustices in the workplace, in the neighborhood, or even things that we ourselves can do and to make things right. Look at the situation in Judah as described by Micah. There were institutional injustices committed by the leaders. What is this institutional injustices? Take a look at Micah chapter 3, verse 9 to verse 12. And you say here, hear these, you leaders of Jacob, you rulers of Israel, who despise justice and distort all that is right, who built Zion with bloodshed and Jerusalem with wickedness. Her leaders judge for a bribe, her priests teach for a price, and her prophet tell fortune for money. Yet they look for the Lord's support and say, is not the Lord among us? No disaster will come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble, the temple hill a mound overgrown with thickets. This is institutional injustices. Why? Because he said the leader distort what is right. He talk about, there is even bloodshed. You talk about even the religious leaders, right? They ask for money, they teach for a price, and the judges judge for a bribery, institutionalized injustices. Do we see that? Do we see that in our nation? Yes, these are injustices. So the people of Israel committed great injustices before God, and yet they presume that because they were covenant people of God, God will naturally favor them. They were naturally protected by God. The enemy will not be able to destroy them. They look for the Lord's support when they are in trouble. God will protect us. We look to the Lord for support. But what did God say? Right? God said, I'm not going to support you. I'm the God of justice. In fact, verse 12 says that He is going to judge them. He's not going to favor His people blindly. God not only loves us, care for us, He wants us to do justly, just like Him, because He was a judge. He's a judge God. Therefore, as a judge, what did He say? He said, I'm going to destroy you. Jerusalem is going to be turned into rubble. The enemy is going to come. And we know that the prophecy of Micah was fulfilled when the Babylonian came and took them into exile and completely destroyed the land. That is institutional injustice. What about injustices committed by the people? Individual injustices. Micah chapter 6. And now let's go to the later part of that passage from verse 10 onwards. Micah chapter 6. It says, am I still to forget your ill-gotten treasures, you wicked house, and the short ephah, which is a curse? Shall I acquit someone with dishonest scale, with a bag of false weight? Your rich people are violent, your inhabitants are liars, and their tongues speak deceitfully. Therefore, I have begun to destroy you, to ruin you because of your sin. So you can do a summary of all the injustices, and these injustices are not carried out by the institution, by the leader, but by the common folks, by the people, common people like you and I. Even among the common people, they were carrying out acts of injustices. What were they? Dishonesty, cheating, falsehood, lies, deception, violence, threat, right? Unbalanced scale. Are we also guilty of this? Check ourselves. Do we subtly practice these injustices in our workplace, in our business dealing, in our association with others? Ask yourself. In your daily transaction, how do you do? Ask yourself in your treatment of your fellow colleagues or those who work under you, or your domestic helper at home, or the shop owner that you go to. How do you treat them? In face of all these injustices, how are we to act justly? We are to do the right thing with the right moral compass and a good conscience. I repeat, we have to do the right thing with the right moral compass and a good conscience. When others are acting unjustly like all this, we are to do otherwise. What are we going to do? We are to refuse bribe, either giving or receiving. Be content and not be money-minded in all we do. Don't everything also money, money, money. No money, no talk. Give me money, I do things for you. Right? Be honest in all our transactions, whether in buying or selling. Uneven skill. God hates it. Right? We all have experienced that. Now I don't know so much. Because now seldom go Petaling Street. Last time go Petaling Street, you buy fruit, you be careful. You choose all the good fruit. When you go home, you open up, don't know why got rotten food inside. You buy something, you weigh it nicely, you go back home and weigh, how come different one? All this uneven skill, God detests them. Choose respect and gentleness instead of violence. No bullying, but stand up for the weak. Our reluctance in standing up for justice and advocating the voices is a passive form of injustice. You may not do injustice outrightly, but sometimes when we fail to advocate justice, well, we may be committing injustice in a passive form. We choose to remain and see others suffer. That is a sin of omission. And in James chapter 4, verse 17, it tells us this. If anyone there knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. Wow, that is a sin of omission. Knowing the right thing to do, yet not doing it. Maybe we have to search our heart and ask, am I acting justly? God asks us, He said the heart of true religion is to act justly. And secondly, to love mercy. The act of justice and mercy actually goes hand in hand. Justice without mercy can become very cold, very heartless. Just judge, I just judge you, that's it. And mercy without justice can be easily abused, right? Mercy emphasizes an attitude of compassion and forgiveness. Let's say if a single mom is caught stealing milk powder for a hungry baby, what would a judge do? Purely justice without mercy is send her to jail. What are you going to do? Without justice, without mercy, throw the mother to the jail and send the baby to the orphanage? Or worse still, throw the mother and baby together in the jail, so the baby also grow up in the jail? Or made out a symbolic punishment because justice needs to be done. Made out a symbolic punishment and find a way to help the single mom to provide both for herself and the baby. That a righteous judge will know what to do. So mercy is more than just feeling sorry for someone and walk away. Cannot just say, oh, I'm sorry, I feel so bad about it, and walk away. Rather, it requires action. It compels us to do something to the one in need of mercy. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 7, Jesus said, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And we need to show mercy for two simple reasons based on this verse itself, because God Himself has shown mercy to us. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. That is God's mercy, that is God's compassion and love. And one day, we may be on the receiving end. We may need mercy when we find ourselves in a precarious situation. So now while we can show mercy to those who need mercy. And we need to show mercy to two groups of people. The first group of people that we need to show mercy is to those who have wronged us. I'm sure there are people who have wronged us. And the second group of people are those who are in need of help. Two different groups of people, they need mercy. Those who wrong us, they need mercy. Because when somebody wrongs us, it's very easy to think of fighting back, revenge, right? And make the person pay for it. When somebody suddenly, cut you from behind while driving, what do? You feel like taking revenge. And this is what happens. Because some people want to take revenge, end up fight. end up killing somebody. That's very dangerous. You see, right? Because you say, Cantonese say, 條氣唔順啊. So you want to fight back, right? So I say, I cannot see, I cannot take it. This person just cut in like that. Yeah. Right? But we have to show mercy. But the teaching of Jesus is counter-cultural. I say, don't take vengeance. We are called to extend kindness and forgiveness instead of taking revenge. And let me just quickly read to you a few verses. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 38, you say that you have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slap you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. That is non-retaliation. Don't fight back. Right? Non-retaliate because the other person needs your mercy. Romans chapter 12, verse 19. Do not take revenge, my dear friend, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, say the Lord. So God said, don't take vengeance. I'm the one who's going to stand on your behalf. In fact, there is a verse 20 continue to say that on the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. So more do good to your enemy. And James chapter 2 verse 13 says, judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. Mercy triumphs over judgment. If judgment without mercy will be shown to those who have not been merciful, you have not been merciful, you will not receive mercy. So therefore be merciful because mercy triumphs over judgment. So it's very clear that throughout all these New Testament passages, the New Testament consistently teaches us the concept of mercy over vengeance. It chooses compassion and forgiveness instead of retribution and punishment. Jesus himself exemplifies the virtue of mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. He forgives sinners, and yes, even those who nailed him to the cross, when he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That is mercy over judgment, the mercy of God. And Jesus actually told a parable. One day Peter came to Jesus, oh Lord Jesus, how many times shall I forgive my brother? 7 times? Jesus said, no, 70 times 7 times. And then Jesus told this parable. And we call the parable the unmerciful servant or the unforgiving servant. He talked about one day this master came back, he said, I'm going to settle the year-end account and see who owe me money. And then he found a servant of his, he owed him a few $1 million. What? This guy owed me a few $1 million and not able to pay back. Bring him. And gave him a timeline and gave him a deadline. And this person said, oh, master, I have no means of paying you back. The master said, well, no means of paying me back. Never mind. You, your wife, and your children, do re mi fa so. I'm going to sell you away as slave. Then I can get back my few $1 million. Sell them all, whole family, sell into slavery. And this servant said, oh no, master, please, please have mercy. I love my wife. I cannot allow my children to be sold as slaves, because they were so young. Please have mercy. And the master looked at him. Okay lah. Maybe he was as rich as Elon Musk. He said, a few million is nothing lah. I just cancel it. Wow, he was so happy. He said, thank you, master, for being merciful. So the master showed him mercy. Now he very happy, he go outside. And then he saw a fellow servant. He said, oh yeah, this guy owe me a few $100. Right? He said the wife gave birth, no money. Right? And then he got also so many children, no money. I better ask him to pay back. I said, you better pay me back. He said, I can't pay back, please have mercy. He said, no. Cannot, you must pay back. All money must pay one. He said, but I really cannot. Cannot lah. Okay, I'm going to go to the judge and throw him into the jail. Until you pay back. To me, very silly lah. You throw that fella in the jail, the fella cannot work how to pay you back. Right? But it's only a parable, not true story. Only a parable is only a story. Right? To cut the story short. When the rest of the servants saw it, wow, this guy, just now we saw him pleading for the master, right, to help him because he owed the master a few $1,000,000. The master showed him mercy. He was so happy. Now, somebody only owed him a few $100 and he's so wicked. And so they reported back to the master. The master said, come, bring him back. And the master was so angry at him. He said, what did you do? I show you mercy. You owe me so much. You don't have to pay back a cent. Your whole family can go free. But then, just because your fellow servant owe you such a small little bit of money, you don't even have compassion on him and his family. And so, he asked the rest of the servants, throw him into jail. Throw him back into jail. Teach him a lesson. Because he had been unmerciful while I was merciful to him. This is how my Heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart. That is the end of the parable. And so, this group of people that need mercy is those people who have wronged us. So for those who have wronged you, don't keep it to the heart. Vengeance belongs to God. In fact, as Christians, we shouldn't be talking about vengeance. We should choose mercy over triumph. Mercy over judgment. Therefore, show mercy. Of course, another group of people that need mercy are those in need of help, people who are poor in our society. As Christians, we should do whatever we can to help them. When you talk about those who are in need, not necessarily financially poor, but they may have other situations that need help. All right? And we may not be able to help everybody, but I believe that we can certainly help some. It's not able to help everybody. Don't say that just because I can't help everybody, I don't help. You cannot help everybody, but you certainly can help somebody. So help can come in different form, not necessarily through financial giving. As a church, right, this is where we can step in to help. As individual, our help is limited, but as a collective body, we can do more together. More so if churches combine their effort together. In the past, our church, we had not had any kind of a social outreach ministry. We were not ready then. Maybe the church was, we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the manpower, we were smaller. But what we did is that we got involved in financial giving. All right? And the church was rather generous. I would say the church was rather generous. Whenever we call for donation to help some disaster relief, whether it's earthquake in another country, whether it's tsunami or flood victims, and each time we call for donation, we could count on you to give generously, and you did. In the past, you have given a lot to many disaster relief. Give yourself a hand for that. Yes, I would say that you guys are generous. When we call for giving, I have no question that you will give. Good job. Keep it up. And during the time of COVID pandemic, we set up a white flag benevolent fund. Remember the white flag? Yeah. And so that we could help those who were badly affected by the pandemic. And much of the fund was channeled to the Myanmar refugees. We have so many of them in Subang, Jaya. And of course, also under the umbrella of Love Subang Pastor Fellowship, we rally together along with a refugee school. We coordinate the giving of food, daily necessities, and we actually fed a few hundred refugees for at least 3 consecutive months. It's not just our church alone. The Love Subang churches came in together. Every church contribute a little. And we work with the refugee school because they have the contact, they have the list of people, they have the list of families, and we coordinate. It was very tedious. I tell you, it was very tedious, right? Spend a lot of time. Sometimes I spend a few hours, right, and just to go through everything, right, with those whom we are networking together. And this is how we help. We also, gave towards the setting up of COVID quarantine hostel for the migrant worker. I think there was a travel lodge hotel. They turned into quarantine hotel. We contributed to it. We gave to help certain medical cases among the refugees, those who were hospitalized, that need finance. We purchased oxygen concentrator for those who may need them. And even after the pandemic, we continue to carry out acts of mercy. And just last year, we also gave towards a community ambulance. Remember the community ambulance? And many more. But we can do more than just giving, more than giving money. We can do some other thing. So with this sense of mission, and I believe that the time was right and the church is ready, we started our community ministries. We have a Life Point counseling services. And just yesterday, we had our seminar, mental health day, and of course the life camp ministry. So you look at all this that we have done. Our counseling services reaches to those who need someone to talk to. And through our life care, reach out to the marginalized, the low-income group. The bumblebee were reaching out to the children. Then we are giving a food voucher, to the needy family, And then we are also what are we having? We also visiting old folks' home, visiting, what you call that? Mentally challenged home, a social concern home, that one of the cell was visiting them. And now the latest one we are going to start is a CST, cognitive stimulation therapy, to help the dementia patient. So these are all these things we are doing our act of mercy. We are not a very big church. We may not have the means, the expertise, the manpower to start a home, but we can certainly carry out projects and still be a blessing to those in need. When we love mercy and do acts of good deeds, we are not in competition with anyone. We don't have to reinvent the wheels of what others are doing. We just be faithful to what God has called us to do as a church. According to our talents, according to our capacity, according to the resources that we have. And all of us here can be involved in some way or another. It is in serving the community that we find joy and fulfillment. And I'm so glad that all this community work, there are actually many volunteers. Many of you have already stepped up or stepping in to help. And we need more of you to come. Right? It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. You can be involved. So let's do what the Bible calls us to do. Act justly, love mercy. And lastly, the heart of true religion is to walk humbly with our God. To walk humbly with our God. The people of Israel has committed the most serious sin by worshipping idols. And they adopted the religious practices of the day. They violated the first two most important commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make for yourself any graven images. And here is a call for them to humble themselves, to repent, to return to God. They have become too arrogant and too presumptuous in their religiosity. They thought that, well, never mind, as long as we carry out all this religious duty, we are all right. They thought by burning offerings, sacrifices, they can earn God's favor, and they were wrong. So what did Micah tell them? Walk humbly with our God. Humility plays a very important role in our relationship with God. To walk humbly before God means what? Means a life of surrender. A life of surrendering to God. A life of dependence on God. Rely on His guidance. We obey His instruction. We submit to His leading, and we allow Him to mold us and shape us to become more and more like Jesus. So how is your walk with God today? We need to learn to walk humbly before God. Humility is also important as we need to learn to relate to other people. Because what Micah said about acting justly and loving mercy is relating to other people. We can only do that, we can only serve them when we have the heart of humility, like Jesus, who had the heart of humility, who actually stooped low and began to wash the disciples' feet. He showed us a good example, and we have to act in humility. When we do good to others, it's never to show off our superiority or our ability of our capability. Don't show off in your act of good deed. Don't ask for the cameraman, and see what I'm doing. Of course, we took some picture to show you what we are doing now. Huh? But that is not so much to highlight somebody, but to just to as a form of information that, yes, as a church, we are active. We are doing something about it. We are not highlighting any individual particularly, but as a church, we be the salt and light. We do not show kindness in order to get all kinds of likes in our social media posting, That is wrong motivation. That's been proud. Look at the next slide. There's another big hoo-ha. You know this? You know what this is about? Any one of you don't know? You know? Raise a hand. Okay. Right. Some of you know. 3 teenager school. One of them is older. The other 2 are just in high school. They want to do a social media post. They go to KFC, they eat with all the bone, they wrap it up, and they give it to the homeless. And they take with the homeless. Hey, we are doing good things. But what did they do? Chicken bones. Wow. The people were so angry, outrageous. How can you feed the poor? Right? You are really, adding salt to the wound. You are actually insulting the homeless by feeding the person with chicken bones. But of course, police report were made, they were being taken to police station for questioning, whatever. And of course, the whole idea, this young chap was saying that, is to generate social media posting. Of course, he said, this is all staged. We actually talk to the person, it's all staged. Whatever it is, it's not right. And of course, they apologize. The 3 of them actually apologize. I think youngster, we can forgive them now. Be merciful to them. Youngster, right? They need to learn. Right? Sometimes they learn things the hard way. But I'm just bringing it as an illustration. Be humble. Walk humbly before God in relating to God, in relating to man. When we do good deeds, when we show mercy, let's do so with a heart of humility and not for any personal gain. Worship team, you can come out. So when we do good, let us not blow our trumpets. Let's do so in mercy, in humility, and let our spiritual walk, as an expression of our Christian life, stay humble. The God who rescued Israel is the same God who has rescued us in Jesus Christ. One day, God will also be our judge, right? And until then, He called us not to live with empty riches, but with grateful obedience. The heart of true religion is not just the lifting of hands. It's not shouting praise or getting involved in church ministry. All these are important. These are very necessary. All of you come to church doesn't mean that, from now on I don't have to come to church. All these are religious rituals. No. We still need all this to strengthen us, to encourage us, to learn teaching like this. We still need. But what is more important is that God wants our heart. May we live our life well, not just of what we believe, but how we live out God's heart every day. Remember, the heart of true religion is justice, mercy, humility. Say with me, justice, mercy, and humility. And I want you to do something. I want you to use one hand and say justice, mercy, humility. And now we want to do this, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. Okay? Ready? 1, 2. To act justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. One more time. To act justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. Amen.